Now, back to Steiny and Guru on 95.7 The Game.
408 Steiny, by that way of thinking, Magic and Kareem can't be on that list. Only you forgot.
Oh.
Kareem won one in Milwaukee as Lou Alcindor.
What list?
Well, I did my top 10 running backs. Then it turned into top 10 NBA players.
I was going to say, Kareem is definitely not one of my top 10 running backs.
Yeah. He had a good little career at UCLA.
He did.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
That's good
the
point.
other Kareem.
Yes.
Thank you.
And a cameo on an airplane.
I am, right?
I thought he spelled it the same way.
Oh, did he?
And in other news, the new Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who is was that big white kid from Indiana State. I don't know if you followed his little run in March. There's a kid, 6'10", gigantic white guy from Indiana State, and one of his nicknames was Cream, C-R-E-A-M, Cream Abdul-Jabbar. He's now entered into the portal, so he won't be a Sycamore anymore.
Oh, tough break.
They also were calling him different names because Larry Bird went there. Steiny, of course, as you well know. So this young man had a bunch of nicknames, and then Indiana State got snubbed for the tourney. They went to the NIT. The coach left, and so now every single one of their top 7 scorers has entered the portal.
Could you imagine if the portal had been around when you were playing?
I don't think it would have mattered.
Oh,
you wouldn't have tried to take that run at D1?
No.
You were pretty happy in your spot?
I couldn't play
We've
D1.
had this convo over beers. Let's not go down there.
Yeah, I couldn't play D1.
You could have.
Then we talked about the top 10 players of all time, and that's where Guru, my list's splintered.
I bet they're different.
They're very different.
He's mad
just
that I
like
have
the
Kobe.
two of you.
I'm not mad you have Kobe. He's right on the verge of top 10 for me. He's not an automatic, that's all. But I'll tell you who's not even close is this guy here who shot 42% from the field.
Iverson.
And 31% from three-point range. I can't put him on my top 10 list.
Iverson took that.
These conversations are always so difficult because of the eras.
They're generational. Yeah.
Talk to me.
If you didn't see someone play, we were having this conversation earlier today, me and Lucas, about OJ, and he offended me, actually.
What did he say?
Well, because he's like, you saw him play.
Oh.
Hey. Hit the brakes.
I saw him play.
You saw him play.
But I was very young.
He came to the 49ers when I was 3.
He wasn't even OJ.
He was washed up. Yeah, he was washed up.
Larry Holmes,
Like, if you didn't, I don't know. To me, I am so, mystical about sports. If you didn't see someone play, you can't experience it. You cannot have someone tell you about it. You know what I mean? That's why, there's always some old-timer who's like, well, Wilt Chamberlain, I didn't see him play. How do you want me to rate someone who I just heard about?
My number 1 running back of all time, true story, is Gale Sayers.
Okay.
And I was captivated at the videos that I saw of him run.
Okay.
Does that, because Stein's Gale Sayers.
Yeah, you could do it however you want to do it. But I like Gale Sayers, Jim Brown, even OJ.
Yep.
All of those conversations, I don't know, man. I didn't see them.
Do you know the offensive line of the Buffalo Bills nickname while OJ was there? Because I forgot or didn't know. Steiny knew it.
I learned it this morning when I was in the car, and then I have subsequently forgot it. I was driving after I had to bring lunch to the missus, so baby Mama and I were in the car, and whenever I'm in the car, we put on 95.7 The Game, and she tries to stay awake in the back, and Steiny actually mentioned the nickname, and I was like, I didn't know that. And I've subsequently forgotten.
And you still don't. What is it? I don't know it. What's the
electric company?
The electric company.
Wow.
That's what turned the juice on. That's why they.
Gotcha.
That's why they.
Yeah.
That's a bar.
Right.
So, it's interesting about Chamberlain. So Chamberlain, do you have to have seen him play to put him in your top 10?
I'm going to say no.
To me, yes. I don't even know how I'm supposed to. How am I supposed to put into words what Wilt Chamberlain was to me?
But you've had to see some footage.
Of course, you see footage. But how am I going to compare footage to actual moments in games?
No doubt. But what if the resume? And I'm not saying he should or shouldn't. What about if the resume just kind of speaks for itself?
And resumes are completely based on the eras in which they're built. I mean, who was he playing against? How many teams were in the league?
J.J. Redick says plumbers.
How many other 7-footers were
Bill Russell was not a plumber. So
if
we want to talk about it. And he played him, I think, 15 times a year.
Yeah. It's like I can't I can't take anything away from him, but I also can't quantify and put into words how good he was. I didn't see him.
You want me to help?
Sure. You and I always agree. Tell me what to think.
He led the league in scoring his first 6 years in the league.
How many other players were in the league? 4?
I'm just saying.
Okay.
That's derisive.
Four-time MVP.
Purposefully.
Right.
1 year he led the league in assists.
Oh, I've heard he's a good player.
Good little player is what you're supposed to say to really
tall.
demean him.
He's tall.
Tell you what, you got him on the free throws. He couldn't make any free throws.
Wow.
He's only 50.
That does bug
11.
me. Those are big in the playoffs.
What bugs me is the idea that a player like Wilt couldn't play in today's game because he couldn't shoot the outside shot. And that sort of narrative is what turns me off to all these conversations about top 10 all time. Because if Wilt Chamberlain was, I don't know, an 18-year-old right now at 7'1" with his unbelievable overall athleticism, I would imagine by now he would have developed an outside shot. But in that time, the outside shot was for suckers. The best shot was giving it to Wilt inside of 2 feet. They outlawed the dunk because he was so dominant.
I hate hearing that.
Think about that. That's akin to them saying, you know what, Steph? You're so good at the 3 ball, we're taking the 3-point line away.
Well, they tried to do it at Augusta for Tiger. Tiger proofed the course.
Yeah.
Right? They changed the rules around Shaq. You know, that's. What about if it goes the other way? Could Steph, Steph have played 40 years ago?
Yes, that's the one thing that I was going to add to Dibs. Just like no, Isaiah Thomas didn't get to play in this era. And I think he'd be unbelievable. He just would have added a 3-point shot. Well, if Steph Curry were back playing with Isaiah Thomas, he still would have been a great player. His 25-footers just would have been 2. You know what I mean?
A lot less points.
Well, he wouldn't have shot a 25-footer. I mean, Red Auerbach would have had him in the locker room.
I don't know if he made him at the clip he's making him now.
Right.
I think you probably would have lived with it. But Curry would have made that adjustment, I think.
Speaking of which, I don't know if it's just me, but I watch a lot of basketball. Have you guys processed, because I feel like this is flying under the radar, and it may have something to do with how far the Warriors go or don't go, because I think it benefits them. But the league, these refs are not calling, I want to use the S word, crap.
Oh, God, here we go.
And just as a bystander, I'm not mad, but Dibs, I'm not used to the prison ball of, and the players are like, now they're they figured it out, like, I got to just get my ass up and go help my team play D.
Yeah, and
I'm sitting there like, that's a foul.
Well, you are very representative of the fan, and many fans have been crying for years, if not decades, over the fact that they call too much.
I was one of them.
And now we've pendulumed all the way the other way, and now they're not calling anything. Didn't Boston, Steiny, just have a game where they attempted 0 free throws?
Against the Bucks.
First game in history, right? Or in the modern game.
I think so, yeah.
Where a team did not attempt a free throw.
But
so
there's
now,
fouls out there, though.
Fine. So we've swung the pendulum the other way. Which do you prefer more? 87 free throws a game or maybe 6 free throws a game? Yeah.
But I'm just saying, it's Willard. I'm watching like I can't ignore it. That's a foul.
Let me ask you this.
I'm getting used to it.
Let me ask you this. This GP2 block on Hachimura the other night.
Is
that a foul?
That's a foul.
It's a foul.
And GP, we love you.
But I loved it because it was
That's
also
a foul,
right.
Dibs.
It was a moment, and we'll remember it more because it wasn't a foul. And I'm not saying he hit the ball with his hand. He also
it used to be
the two bodies completely whacked into one another.
Right.
Hachimura goes flying underneath the hoop. That's a foul. But
Draymond talking about I'm getting hit in the face.
Yeah.
Get used to that.
I mean, I don't know, man. Like it's
weird. It's a weird feeling. Is all.
It's different.
But Dibs, you and I think you know this, even though you always react like you don't. It doesn't matter what the metrics are. People are never going to be happy with refs.
Of course.
That's think
refs,
about refs are like the Washington Generals. They're there to be picked on.
Think about
That's who they
the
are.
women's semifinal game and how 3 days worth of Twitter. Yeah,
on the Domino app.
Yeah,
do you think that was a foul?
Of course it was a foul.
But you don't call it there.
But you don't call it.
You
But
absolutely
it was a foul.
call it, and you call it because she did 3 different things. She moved, and she widened her stance, and she threw a little spicy hot wing to boot. That one, to me,
was
Wesley Hoagland.
Oh, boy.
The biggest no-brainer in the history of mankind.
That's all. To me, that's always a tell whenever someone goes, but you don't call that then.
Right.
Hold on a second.
That's my favorite.
What do you mean you don't call it then?
So with 31 seconds left, you can.
If it's a foul, or
with
is it a
6
foul?
seconds left, you can't call it.
Yeah.
And that's like in the NBA and the NFL, you could call holding on every play.
Yeah.
And in the NBA, you could call a foul on every single play. So do we really want that? Or would you rather have it this way where go ahead and maybe mug a guy, get up, okay?
Yeah.
Get up.
But
Let's
they
play
kind of
through
did
a
it
little
in the middle of the night as
They
all.
sure did.
That's what's weird, Steiny. It's like they just doing it.
I mean, I was looking at the other way. If it's the biggest possession of the game, then make damn sure you set a
The
legal
right call.
screen.
Yeah. And make the right call.
Yeah.
Because by doing what she did, now it is up to the official one way or the other. Because I guarantee if they don't call it, somebody on the other side is going to say that's a moving screen. Well, you can't call it then.
Right.
Well, then when can you call it?
Exactly.
It is a little bit more controversial in the call direction than the non-call. Just because because of the nature of what it was
I would agree
and the
with
way that it looked at full speed. I don't think anybody would have complained if they didn't call it. But if you just watch it from all the angles, it's foul.
Yeah.
You know why the Celtics were not upset with shooting 0 free throws against the Bucks? Because the Bucks shot 2.
That was it?
There were 2 free throws in the entire
amazing.
game.
Are you serious?
Yep.
How have I not
One team
heard
went
about
0
more
for
about
0.
this?
The other team went 1 for 2.
I mean, that's
48 minutes, Dibs.
Yeah, and that seriously is like playground where you call one more foul, we're gonna have to throw hands.
Man.
Shout out the Panhandle here in San Francisco. Which do you ever play out there at the Panhandle, Steiny?
Once.
Yeah, you're not missing much. That game,
One
you might
time.
as well play in a robe with a gavel in your hand because every trip down the floor was a 17-minute argument.
Well, and you have to work yourself around all the shopping carts that are being pushed around by the homeless, and you end up playing 7 on 8 half the time. You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM and HD1 San Francisco. Always live on the free Odyssey app, Twitch, and YouTube, powered by First NorCal Credit Union. See, this strikes me. If you're going to say the greatest players of all time, I think you could make a case to put Olajuwon over Shaquille O'Neal.
Yeah. I not totally get
In terms
that.
of players.
I just went to
skills,
mine.
basketball skill. Now, Shaq's the most dominant.
Yeah.
That's why I like those kind of
OJ passed. I told you guys I was going to ask you, do you both remember where you were at when the verdict came out? When he went on the chase?
Both.
That Friday.
Both.
I know where I was at.
I'll never
Steiny
forget
was
it.
at the Giant game.
Both. It was on a family trip, and I think they were trying to maybe do some clothes shopping for my sister or whatever. I think we were down in Southern California. I just remember being at a mall, and there were TVs up.
No social media there.
Yes, I just stopped. We just stopped and watched the Bronco drive through the freeway. I also remember exactly where I was when the verdict was read. I had a summer job at Cal Poly one of the years when I was there. But I stayed there, so it might have been after my sophomore year, junior year, one of them. I got a job at the admissions department. The most boring job you could ever have is in the back room in the mail room, just sealing envelopes and sending them out, like to people who either were like got into Cal Poly or didn't get into Cal Poly, or here's your welcome packet, whatever, just sealing envelopes. And so I'd sit in this little back room with a radio on, and I listened to the entire trial, like for the entire summer.
Oh, so you were, wow.
And then everything just stopped when they finally were like going to read the verdict. And I was a college kid, and I have grown up with just an absurd amount of privilege that I am thankful for every day, and so like still kind of sheltered in my brain to where I was surprised. I was surprised when the verdict came down, and then have done all kinds of learning since then,
No doubt,
about why nobody should have been surprised. And there are a bunch of reasons why, which I think everybody kind of gathers now.
Yeah. I was not surprised that the verdict went that way. And as you worked your way through the trial, and the length of the deliberation was such that I kind of felt like it was going to go that way. And I'd mentioned off the air how I was in L.A. during the Rodney King trial, and I covered it every day up in Simi Valley. I went to Cal State Northridge, and I was anchoring the news. I was reporting. And so that verdict, when that came out, that the 4 white officers were found not guilty of a videotaped beating of a man where they struck him 52 times with batons. The fact that they were exonerated and what took place after that, we covered the riots. I was at UCLA the day that the riots began, and so based on all the things that I experienced being in Los Angeles those years, I was not surprised when the verdict came down the way it was.
Man.
And I do remember where I was during the white Bronco. I was furious because
Rockets
I was
and Knicks.
living with my buddy Kenny down there right by St. Cecilia's in San Francisco, we were on like 16th and Vicente. And we had a small TV, it was the 90s, watching TV, and they had the Bronco in the big box, and they put the NBA game in the small box. And so I called the local affiliate, where I would eventually go to work for them.
Of course you did.
At Cron, and I called him at Cron, and I said, would you do me a favor? Could you put the little Bronco in the small box and the game in the big box? I don't need to see a low-speed chase in the big square. And then they hung up on me.
Yeah.
And I called back about 7 more times, getting more and more angry each time because I understand it's a big deal. He's going 20 miles an hour, and there's people on the overpass, go OJ, go, and all that. But it was a big game. And the aforementioned Akeem Olajuwon.
I remember.
Ewing trying to get off
the moments in American documented history. And you're like, can we minimize that, please?
Yes. Ewing. Yes. Charles Smith and all the rest of the Oakley and all the rest of the fellows. Allen Houston.
I love that line. But it was a big game.
Was it Game 5, Steiny, of the NBA Finals?
Like I said, and I'm going to have some fun with Willard right here. I wasn't watching the NBA Finals. I was at a Giants game.
Hey!
At the Stick? You were at the Stick?
June 17th, 1994.
Okay.
Why don't you get some game show music, and I'll see if Willard knows the Giants starting lineup that night against the Chicago Cubs.
Oh, God. Nice. Please
I'll tell you who started the game.
Who was it?
He won 20 games at least once for the Giants.
Billy Swift.
Correct.
Look at you.
Billy Swift.
We got it.
Just for old time's sake. They won 6-1. They trotted out Dave Martinez, Darren Lewis, Matt Williams, Barry Bonds.
Was Todd Benzinger on
Todd
that
Benzinger
team?
hit fifth. He went 1 for 4. Royce Clayton, Steve Scarsoni, Kurt Manwaring, and Billy Swift. J.R. Phillips pinch hit.
What was their record that year?
Get ahead?
And Rod Beck got an inning, but no save.
Shooter.
Swifty raised his record to 8-4 that year.
On his way.
What was their record, Stoney? Do you know?
8-4. Oh, that year? I don't know.
94.
Also, I looked at the Cubs. I looked at the Cubs lineup. I think they had a guy who hit 4 homers in a game.
Ooh.
Guy named Rhodes. Tuffy Rhodes.
Carl Rhodes. Sure.
Didn't he have like an unbelievable game once?
Are you thinking of, I don't know if
Maybe
that was
I'm
Rhodes. You're thinking of Mark,
Big Hittin' Witten. Mark Witten.
That's it.
Oh, yeah. Mark Witten hit 4 for sure.
Yeah. With the Reds, right?
Cardinals.
Yeah.
Cardinals,
sure. Whatever.
It was in Wrigley.
Something.
Yeah, good call.
Something.
And it was Game 5, by the way, of the NBA Finals. Knicks win to go up 3-2. 1 win away from, never mind.
Yeah.
Houston won 6 and 7.
Carl Rhodes, Tuffy Rhodes.
Did he hit 4 in a game?
He had an unbelievable opening day. Rhodes had a good show. On this day, the stage was set for Rhodes. Can I get to the lead?
You don't need to read the whole article.
I do. It's already down at the bottom.
You know who else hit 4 homers in the game, Steiny?
Who? Well,
Colavito.
Yeah, Rock did it.
The Rock. Scooter Gannett also.
He also
Scooter Gannett. Was he a Red then?
Yes. Yes, he was.
The thing that separated that was he hit 4 in a row. Colavito.
The Rock.
Like when Mike Schmidt hit 4 too.
I gave you some love. I'm in the car yesterday. The gentleman's sweep.
Yes.
I thought it was you're up 3-0. You drop that 4th game, and then you come back and win.
That's what he said.
That's what it is.
It's not what he was saying. Just not any 5-game.
So when you lose
victory.
the first one,
if you lose any other than Game 4, it doesn't
not
count.
A gentleman's sweep.
Yeah,
that's
just a 5 game. It's just winning 4 games to 1.
Boy.
Yeah, and again, the things that bug me are really petty, and I should try to get over them.
What's bugging you tomorrow?
Yes, sir.
At 2:00.
Yeah, and you know what's always bugging me is I'll take my answer off the air. Yeah, and that one, we've been over that. So, you're not going to take the answer off the air. I'm not calling you at home. Okay?
What's bugging you is everything.
Yeah.
That's
not really. You know what's bugging me today?
What's bugging you today?
Bryson DeChambeau in the lead.
It's not good.
It's
Nobody. How's Tiger
He's
doing?
even right
Tiger's,
now.
he just threw up a bogey on the very difficult par 3 fourth.
Yeah, that is a hard hole.
Yeah, but we're underway in Augusta. I'm excited. It's fun.
Who'd you pick? Did you have one?
Rory McIlroy and Scotty Scheffler were my 2 picks in my fantasy golf pool. Scheffler right now 4 under, 3 shots back.
Rory's 1 under. Rory made a birdie. He's 1 under.
Yep.
Randy was ripping him earlier.
Well, that's what Grandy is. Grandy's just that kind of guy.
Grandy.
It's just.
So what do you make of Draymond Green and Klay Thompson out tonight?
Are they out?
They are
out.
out.
It's confirmed.
Now. Okay, they are
out.
Here's what I make of that. All the Blazers are out and they'll win anyway. But I have actually, before you guys go, don't put the bag on your shoulder because I do want to ask you guys this. You're the perfect guys to ask this. Why are we having such a hard time keeping our Warriors conversations from slipping into the offseason?
Because of the play-in.
Is now not got your attention?
No, it has it to the point where we didn't talk about the offseason at all today, essentially.
All week we have.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
No, you did. I listened to it.
No, but
I'm not, by the way,
most of the conversation has been how you get Kuminga reintegrated.
But I heard you talking about whether or not he'd be traded in the offseason. Like, I'm not saying you're even wrong. We've all done it. Our listeners have done it.
You got us, Willard.
No. It's not a. I'm not trying to pin you in the corner.
This has got your radio.
I want to know why, though. Like,
I'm locked into right now.
Simultaneously, hear a lot of people go, I think they can go on a run, and then have a terribly hard time talking about now. Yeah. Like, to me, the Blazers, right? Who cares? Yeah. Locked in.
Tomorrow, I'm there.
7 o'clock tonight. The Pelicans play the Kings.
Big deal.
And the Warriors play the Blazers. And my remote control will be on overdrive, and there will be food. And I will sit my son down next to me and go, this is right. And I won't even need to say a word. He's more locked in than me. Like, they've got my attention. Yeah. And but for whatever reason, I feel like a lot of us are having a hard time not letting the conversation immediately spill into, because we've done it too. Is Klay Thompson going to stay and blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't know, man. I'm excited about right now.
Yeah.
And but we're having
Wednesday.
Yeah, we're having a hard time talking about right now. It feels like to me.
Yeah, I came in today.
He meant all week
with a goal, the goal of not talking about the offseason.
We did,
and talking about how, if you think this team's going to make a run, what has to happen? And to me, you got to figure out a way to get Kuminga and Wiggins both playing well, which has been a challenge for Steve Kerr.
That's the right now, right? I ain't cutting you off, Steiny. That's the right now. That's what our show was 90% of.
I think Steph and Klay have to go to another level because I think they've had too many games where they're good and then they don't. Like, I want to, they're going to need 2 out of 3 good games in the postseason. And then the 2 rookies. You got 2 rookies in your top 7.
Yep. Going to be
you
all
have 2
rookie
rookies
team.
in your top 7 rotation. And
both of them,
you're playing 3 important games and then maybe 2 more important games and then maybe a series. Rookies traditionally can struggle, so how are they going to play in the postseason?
And we played your sound with Kerr. We gave him a grade, A-. Steiny listed every coach deputy.
For the year or for the interview?
For the year.
Okay.
You guys always do it great. But, all kind of stuff went on. Moving Klay to the bench.
To me, the
interesting
thing Steve said was, he said, why are we better? Oh, the young guys have been unbelievable. And then he goes, and the veterans have really done a good job this year of, what did he say, bringing them in. And, of course, I'm thinking...
Is that by default?
I wonder if that means that in the past it was more difficult for those guys.
Well, last year it felt more difficult.
They didn't do it. Draymond said he didn't talk to guys on the road.
And maybe Draymond will say now, Pajemski and Trace Jackson-Davis are good.
And how big of a deal is Chris Paul with that? Did he make that? Because those guys are playing with him.
I mean,
but also they had no choice but to accept those guys because those guys had to play because Draymond was unavailable and Chris broke his hand.
And I think you just hit it.
We'll forever have a hard time. Like, I think even the organization, they have a hard time talking about what it was within the dynamic of Jordan Poole that just went south. And that's not about who you blame, but like that. When they say
that was south.
Yeah, when they say we're better this year than last year, I feel like that's at the center of it, is they're not dealing with whatever that was.
Yeah. And they got over the Draymond Green thing, no doubt. All right, guys.
We'll be listening.
Okay. Great show. 95.7 The Game.
95.7 The Game. Yeah.